بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Welcome everyone to today's class of traveller4 Unit 2 and 3 revision. The learning objective of today that you will be able to revise the structures, functions and vocabulary words presented in module 2 and 3 through the various activities. So we have many exercises that we will go through together. First thing, we have a grammar. It is a causative form. The causative form is used when we do not do something ourselves, but we arrange for somebody else to do it for us. So something that you can do, but you may get other people to do it for you. For example, if you say, I cut my hair last week. I cut my hair last week. This means that you did it yourself. But when you say, I got my hair cut last week, which means a barber did it for you. But in the first one, you did it yourself. We have many examples of the causative form in different tenses. For example, in the present simple, if you take your car to somebody to fix it, you say, I have my car fixed. I have my car fixed. So someone will fix it for you. In the present progressive or in the present continuous, we say, I am having my car fixed, which means at the right moment. I am having my car fixed. So you are, let's say, at the mechanic or at the garage and someone is fixing your car, so you say, I am having my car fixed. But in the past simple, you say, I had my car fixed. I had my car fixed, which means that you had already somebody have done it for you. In the past progressive or the past continuous, I was having my car fixed. I was having my car fixed. In the future will, which means that we use will, I will, we say I'll have my car fixed, which means in the future you will get someone to fix your car. I will have my car fixed. With the present perfect simple, we say I have had my car fixed. I've had my car fixed. In the past perfect simple, you say I had my car fixed. I had my car fixed. With using modal verbs, for instance, must, shall, should, may, might, we say I must have my car fixed. I must have my car fixed. Let's see this exercise of the causative form. Rewrite the following sentence using the causative form. We have 4 sentences. Each one you change it from a sentence that means someone has done it himself to somebody has done it for him. Number 1, a plumber will fix Adam's leaking tap. A plumber will fix Adam's leaking tap. So Adam has a leaking tap in his house and he will get the plumber to fix it for him. So we say Adam will have his leaking tap fixed. Adam will have his leaking tap fixed. 2, a decorator may decorate our house. A decorator may decorate our house. So we have here a modal verb. As we have seen in the previous slide, we may, because we have here our for the plural, we may have our house decorated. decorated. So decorate, we have used now the past, which is decorated. 3. The gardener was planting flowers in Peter's garden. The gardener was planting flowers in Peter's garden. So we say Peter was having flowers planted in his garden. So someone else is doing that for him, which is the, or whom is the gardener. So Peter was having flowers planted in his garden. Number 4. A mechanic has repaired Sam's car. A mechanic has repaired Sam's car. So Sam's car is already repaired by the mechanic. So Sam has had his car repaired. Has had his car repaired. This is for the causative form. And now let's get to another grammar rule, which is the passive voice. Passive voice. We use the passive voice to emphasize an action rather than who, not important, or what is responsible for it. So we don't care who has done that. We already want to emphasize the action. For example, the bank was robbed. The bank was robbed. So a few people, burglars, let's say, or thieves, have stolen the bank. So they are not mentioned here because they are not important. So the bank was robbed. Another example, English is spoken in Australia. English is spoken in Australia. Of course, people speak the English language in Australia, but we already know that, and it's not important. So we say English is spoken in Australia. So the bank was robbed by someone who we do not know or we don't care about. And the English is spoken in Australia is by people. Let's see a few examples here in different tenses. In the present simple, if we have the sentence, I make a cake, and I want to change that to the passive, I say, a cake is made, or maybe others say, a cake is made. In the present progressive, the active sentence, I am making a cake. But in the passive voice, a cake is being made. In the past simple, I made a cake. I made a cake. It is in the past. So we cannot see it here. It's not here. It's not in the passive. It's not mentioned, which is not important. So a cake was made. A cake was made. In the past progressive, for example, I was making a cake. I was making a cake. But in the passive, a cake was being made. A cake was being made. In the present perfect tense, I have made a cake or I've made a cake. But in the passive, a cake has been made. A cake has been made. In the past perfect, I had made a cake. I had made a cake. But in the passive, a cake had been made. A cake had been made. So the subject or the person is not mentioned here, which is not important. future simple. I will make a cake in the future. But in the passive, a cake will be made. A cake will be made. Future, but using going to. I am going to make a cake. This is in the active. But in the passive voice, we say a cake is going to be made. A cake is going to be made. When using modal verbs, for example, we say, or I say, I must make a cake. I must make a cake. But in the passive, a cake must be made. A cake must be made. With modal perfect, I should have made a cake. I should have made a cake. But in the passive, a cake should have been made. A cake should have been made. Let's have these 4 sentences here. Rewrite the following sentences in the passive voice. Number 1, they believe Mike is a great doctor. They believe Mike is a great doctor. So the sentence, we need to change it to the passive voice. So they, the subject here, we don't have to mention it in the passive voice because it's not important to mention. So we say Mike is believed to be a great doctor. Mike is believed to be a great doctor. So believe is now in the past, which is believed. Number 2, he has painted his bedroom blue. He has painted his bedroom blue. In the passive voice, it's not important to mention he. So we say his bedroom has been painted blue. His bedroom has been painted blue. Number 3, I invited Omar to my graduation. I invited Omar to my graduation. So in the passive voice, Omar was invited to my graduation. Omar was invited to my graduation. If you read this sentence in the passive voice, you may say, who invited Omar? We don't know. Maybe I did that, maybe my friend, maybe my brother, maybe someone else, but it doesn't matter who invited him as long as he coming to the graduation. Number 4, the professor will give a lecture next week. The professor will give a lecture next week. So this is in the future. So how do we answer? A lecture will be given next week. By whom? By the professor, but it's not important. So we say a lecture will be given next week. And now, after we have finished 2 grammar rules, the first one is the causative form, and now the passive voice, let's get to some vocabulary words. Circle the correct answer. We have 7 sentences here. In each sentence, we have 2 options. Will you help me carry or take the kids to school today? So the kids have to go to school, and I'm asking someone to drive them to school. What do we say? Carry or take? What do you think? You are not carrying them, you are taking them in the car, so the answer is take the kids. Number 2, the new student is curious about or of everything that is going on. So the new student is curious. Curious means to be eager to know something. So the new student is curious. The preposition that we use with curious is always about. So the new student is curious about everything that is going on. 3. Will you keep an eye to or on the baby while I am cleaning the house? Keep an eye, which means to take care or to be careful of something or someone. So the preposition that we always use with keep an eye, we say on. So will you keep an eye on the baby while I am cleaning the house? Number 4, the Statue of Liberty is a famous landmark or exhibition in New York. This is the Statue of Liberty. You know it. It's in New York. Is it an exhibition or a landmark? It is a landmark. Landmark means an object that is recognized, or a place that is recognized in a city or a country. Number 5, I always eat low-fat meals to keep shape. So to keep your body in shape, we say to keep in shape. Number 6, your answer is not relevant, the question. So let's imagine someone answered a question, but the answer is very far from the question. So we say it's not relevant. It's not relevant to the question. Number 7, how much are the taxi in London? Do we say the taxi fares or the taxi tickets in London? Tickets is for traveling by airplane in the airports, or using the tickets in the undergrounds or metros or trains. So those are tickets, but in the taxi we say the taxi fares. And in this exercise, choose A, B, or C. The storm was absolutely or entirely or gradually getting worse, so we decided to stay in. So the storm comes to the city, and it's not getting all in once, it's getting step by step, which we call gradually. 2, eating too much junk food leads to, so if you eat too much from restaurants or fast food restaurants, that will cause either obesity or poverty or hunger. Of course, it's not causing hunger because you are eating, and it's not causing poverty. It will cause obesity. So you will get a very fat. 3, I am sorry, I can't stay any longer. I am in either a mess or a hurry or general. So he cannot stay, so he has something to do, something urgent to do, so he is in a hurry. If someone say he likes potatoes, tomatoes, onions, all of these vegetables in, what do we say, a mess or a hurry or general? So all the vegetables, which we say vegetables in general. Number 5, Ali is trying to wait. Do we say lose or keep or hold? So he's trying, for example, to reduce his body weight from 90 kilos to 70 kilos. So this process we say to lose weight. And now let's get to the reading. To lose weight. Read the text and answer the questions. Choose A, B, C, or D. The title is Future Cars. When your mobile phone runs out of battery power, all you have to do to get it working again is to charge it up. Imagine if you could do the same thing with your car. Researchers at car companies are developing cars that plug into electric sockets. These vehicles might become the cars of the future. The cars are called plug-in hybrids, and they get most of their power from electricity, just like other electrical devices like mobile phones and laptops. This technology would significantly reduce the amount of fuel that people use and help the environment. Unfortunately, when a large amount of carbon dioxide gas and other greenhouse gases are trapped in the Earth's atmosphere, they cause global warming. Hybrid vehicles have already been developed and are being driven. These cars get their power from both petrol and electricity. They are able to travel longer distances with less petrol. Plug-in hybrids will be even more advanced as they are designed to be powered mainly by electricity and use only a small amount of fuel. Although this technology appears to offer a solution to our planet's environmental problems, there are still some challenges in getting it to work efficiently. The biggest problem is creating batteries that can store a large amount of energy to run the cars. Plug-in hybrids require a special battery, which is very expensive, making the cost of the car very high. In addition, the electricity used to charge plug-in hybrid cars is produced from burning coal. This produces pollution too. It might be some time before the cars will become available to the public, but if they do, it will be a major breakthrough for transport. And now let's get to the questions. Question 1. According to the text, researchers are developing A car that never runs out of battery power. B. An electric car whose battery can be recharged. C. A car that does not need a battery. Or D. An electric car that doesn't need to be charged. So the researchers are developing one of these, which is an electric car whose battery can be recharged. 2. This new technology will be beneficial for companies, A. Companies which produce cars, or people who don't use their cars much, or the environment, or trapped gases. What do you think? The answer is the environment. Yes, the environment. 3. Hybrid cars. A. Get their energy only from electricity, or are not yet in use, or use less fuel than plug-in hybrids, or D. Use a combination of electricity and fuel, which is combination means both electricity and fuel, which is yes. The answer is D. 4. What is the greatest difficulty in developing the plug-in hybrid cars? What is the difficult thing from these options? A. Is it making the appropriate batteries? Or B. Making them environmentally friendly? Or C. Designing the cars to be mainly powered by electricity? Or D. Designing them to run with no batteries? The answer is exactly making the appropriate batteries. 5. According to the writer, what is the truth about plug-in hybrid cars? They are now available for use, or they might never be available to the public, to the people, or C. They won't solve the problem of pollution completely, or D. They might make pollution worse, which is not. The answer is they won't solve the problem of pollution completely, because there will be also pollution, but it's not as much as the current pollution happening. Thank you so much for joining us today. So this is what we've had today. Grammar rules, we've had the causative form and the passive voice, and then the vocabulary about prepositions, and at the end we've had the future cars in reading. Thank you so much and see you next time.